The Jeopardy answer today is 42. The question? Well, that would be, how many players did LSU land in the transfer portal? But it wasn't just quantity for new Tigers coach Lane Kiffin, but it certainly was quality. By just about every measure, this is not just the number one group this year, but it's also the greatest transfer portal class in the short history of the transfer portal. Who are these guys? And will this translate to the Tigers being next year's Indiana Hoosiers? And is Lane Kiffin going to be just as good a coach on the field? We'll ask a man who is a top 25 voter and covers the Tigers on a regular basis as Fox 8's Garland Gillen joins us this morning. We'll also talk about whether the 2026 Saints can chart a course similar to that of the 2025 Patriots. And yes, we'll dive into the whole Bill Belichick was snubbed fiasco, but Shedeur Sanders is in the Pro Bowl? This has been an effed up few days for the NFL. You know what you are all really wondering about is, what's our poll question? What's our big programming news? Well, you'll be happy to know that all these questions will be answered over the course of the next 80 to 90 minutes because, you guessed it, the Dattitude podcast, it's next.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Breaking news this morning. The rumors are true. I was officially informed yesterday that I am not going to be in the Hall of Fame this year. I took it in stride. We called Bill, and he said he feels my pain. No worries. He said that he would be watching Dattitude, episode number 469, presented by Evangeline Securities, for a Wednesday, January the 28th, 2026. I am your host, Jim Derry. 35 plus years in the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you all for being a part of this Dat family. We have memberships available. If you don't know this by now, if you missed the past couple of days, you've been living under a rock. We would love you to be a member and support the channel here. That is the best way to support the channel. The second best way is just subscribe to our YouTube page. Give us a thumbs up, a like, click the little bell, all those good things. You know about that. We're going to tell you what's great about this channel if you're new here, if you just stumbled upon us. What is on today's show? You could see it on the screen if you're watching live. That's right. Garland Gillen is here. I didn't realize how long it had been since Garland was on the show. I think I went back and looked. I think it's all the way back in November. We hardly ever go 2 months without having Garland on the show, but we apparently did this time. So Garland Gillen is on the show, and Garland's expertise. Well, I mean, he's got a lot of expertises. Is that a word? Expertises? Anyway, LSU is probably the top of the list, so we hadn't probably given enough just due to the transfer portal. We're going to go through LSU's roster. I was reading on NOLA.com this morning. Wilson Alexander is basically his position-by-position list of who's on this football team. Look, I know with this transfer portal now, it's going to be so much like, and we've talked about this, but it's going to be so much like basketball that every year it's get used to this. Every year is going to be different. So that's what we're going to dive into with Garland coming up. Of course, we're going to talk about the whole Bill Belichick debacle and him not being in the Hall of Fame. Just absurd. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's absurd. Whether you like Bill Belichick or don't like Bill Belichick, okay? If you're a Saints fan, the way I would put it is this. Take Sean Payton and multiply that by like 3, and then you got Bill Belichick. In no world, and maybe you don't think Sean Payton deserves to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He almost certainly will be. So in no form or fashion could you possibly, there's no realistic world without you just being a hater or a dumbass. One of the two, okay? There's no realistic world where you think Sean Payton belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but Bill Belichick doesn't. There is no sane world where that happens. We're going to talk about that with Garland coming up today. The word is, by the way, that 83-year-old former General Manager Bill Polian had something to do with swaying voters. If that's true, I mean, why would you go and politic for a guy not to be in the Hall of Fame unless you're just a hater? And if you're a voter, I want to know who these. So apparently there are 50 voters. I didn't know how many voters there were, but there are 50 voters. Most of them are sports writers, or a lot of them are sports writers. So that means that at least 11 of 50 did not vote for Bill Belichick Now, some people just want to say we just don't want him to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, it happens all the time. You've got idiots who didn't vote for Derek Jeter not to be in the Hall of Fame in baseball. I mean, you just want to be that one guy who people look at, the guy who snubs. But in this case, it's not one moron. It's at least 11 morons. I mean, there's no realistic answer there. So anyway, we're going to get in that Garland. Garland's probably going to come on about 11:15, so I'm going to have to cut my monologue short because I obviously want to get as many comments as I can get in before Garland gets here. He's got a hard out. He's got to be out by noon. So you know how we run long sometimes. So we may have more talking between us later in the show. That is what's special about this show, by the way. And we will show comments while Garland's here. What's different about this show than other shows is throughout the entire show, we show comments. You type them in, whether you watch it on YouTube or Facebook, and we talk back to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live at 11 a.m. Central Time. If you don't catch us live, you can obviously watch or listen on demand afterwards. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on all the major audio podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you know. You know how to get in touch with me. Find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. Email me, jim@jimderry.com. Also, speaking of programming, we talk about Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live at 11 a.m. Central Time. That is the case, obviously. It has been the entire month. I think the entire month we've gone. Maybe might have did one Thursday show. I don't remember. But next week will be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then the week of Mardi Gras, the week before Mardi Gras, which is the week after the Super Bowl, we'll have a Monday show after the Super Bowl on February the 9th, I believe. Is that Monday? Yeah, February the 9th. That will be the season 5 finale. Okay. Hard to believe. We have run through 5 seasons on this show. It's about to end. We will return. The season 6 premiere will be Friday, February the 20th. Now, I am going to be working a little bit through that quote unquote vacation because we're going to do some administrative things. I'm working on, I'm going to start a thing here on it'll probably be only on YouTube at first. And eventually what I really wanted to do is make it members only. But I'm going to start something called the Morning Dat. And what it's going to be a short 10 to 12 minute show. You know me, when I say 10 to 12 minutes, probably longer than that. But it'll be the biggest sports stories from the day before and my short take. I really am going to keep that as a short take. We'll give you probably this date in history and sports birthdays, and it will not be a live thing. It will be something that will come out every morning, 8 o'clock ish. 8 a.m. Central Time, somewhere around there. But we will do that every morning, at least every weekday morning. I'm going to try to do it every morning. I have to figure out my schedule first. But I know we're going to start it at least every weekday. That's coming up, the Morning Dat, somewhere around that February 20th date, maybe a little before. And Mardi Gras this year happens to be February 17th, which is a special dairy, a little dairy, the littlest dairy, little Lulu Dairy. That is her birthday. Lucy will turn 10 on Mardi Gras Day. So we're going to celebrate that. And I'm going to take a little time off as I do each year. Not as much as I usually do. I usually take a couple weeks off during Mardi Gras. I'm just going to take, again, we'll have a show on Monday the 9th, and then we will be gone until February the 20th. Okay, we've got about 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes. The poll question of the day is this. You ready? We want you all to vote in the poll, okay? We had some votes earlier on in Slack and our members-only Slack channel. If you're a member, by the way, you automatically become a member we will put you in our Slack channel and you can talk to us. We kind of do this all day long throughout the day. You don't have to, by the way, if you become a member. You don't have to become a member of the Slack channel. But I mentioned this morning and we had a couple of answers. Which is worse is the question of the day. Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl or Bill Belichick being snubbed from the Hall of Fame? Go ahead and answer. They're both bad. And I've seen a couple people. I got to be honest. I thought the whole Shedeur Sanders thing, and again, we'll talk about this with Garland in a little bit, but I thought the Shedeur Sanders lovers would be running to the hills screaming, but no, I didn't see a whole lot of that. Even they were like, what? Even there were a couple, but even the Shedeur lovers were like, what? Shedeur Sanders in the Pro Bowl? So what's worse? That's the poll question of the day. Shedeur Sanders in the Pro Bowl or Bill Belichick being snubbed? Let me know. One more bit of breaking news before I get to a couple comments. Garland's already in the green room. Again, we got about 4 or 5 minutes here before we get to Garland. But breaking news this morning. Nobody else wanted the job, so the Browns gave it to now ex-Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. He is the new head coach of the Cleveland Clowns. It is a circus, so we just call them the Cleveland Clowns. That's what the Browns are. Browns, Clowns, all the same thing. They ought to change their mascot. Monken, by the way, is an ex-Browns employee. He was the offensive coordinator there in 2019, the last year of the Freddie Kitchens era. Do y'all remember that? The Freddie Kitchens era? Freddie Kitchens was the coach of the Cleveland Browns. They were 22nd in total offense that year. And then later on, he moved on to the Ravens. Well, he was the Georgia offensive coordinator from 20 to 22. That worked out well. National championship in 21 and 22. He was the Ravens offensive coordinator for the last 3 years. They were 6th in offense in 23. First, they were the best offense in the league when Lamar Jackson should have won the MVP and didn't. And then 16th in total offense this past year. But Lamar Jackson, as we all know, missed, 7 games, 7 games, something. 6. I didn't even mean to do that. Sorry. He also was the LSU. I didn't realize this. I had forgotten this. LSU passing game coordinator for Les Miles in 2005 through 06. LSU went 11-2 both of these years. He was the Southern Miss coach from 2013 to 2015. Went 1-11, then 3-9, then 9-5, and left to become the Buccaneers offensive coordinator from 16 to 18. So Todd Monken is your new coach for the Cleveland Browns. Good morning, Apathy. Come on, you can do it. Show it. You can do it. I can take it. I don't know what the hell they changed my thing here. Hang on, Apathy. I don't know. This thing is, it did this earlier. There we go. It's the wrong color. All right. Now I think we ought to be okay. It does that every now and then. It just changes everything. I don't want it to change. There it is. Hall of Fame is a joke. If Bill Belichick isn't first ballot, no coach is. So voters are holding grudges now. What happens when Sean Payton is up and some voter with Minnesota ties gets salty? Good question. I'll ask that of Garland in just a minute. Who dat Daddy's here? Good morning. Who dat and go Tigers? Thank you so much. Jerry's here. Good morning. S. Callie, a member. When you see that little logo or whatever that thing is, I got to fix that, by the way. I think we can do better than that. Good morning. S. Callie is a member. Thank you. That's right, Jerry. The No Fun League screwed Belichick. Absolutely, they did. Good morning, Charles. Happy hump day. Charles Mangus, Phil Mariani. There we go. Good morning. The portal has ruined college amateur athletics. I disagree, my friend. I don't think it's ruined it at all. I just don't. I hear where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from, but it's like a lot of things. You get adjusted. You get used to it, or you move on, and you don't watch it anymore because that's where it's not changing. Just saying. CWO, good morning. Oh, and Attilio is here. Good morning. He's been listening, but not to the live show. It's okay. You don't have to listen. You can listen after the fact. You know how to do that. You know how to listen out. You don't have to listen live, but it's the only way you can get your comment on this show and answered because, well, duh. Rocky says the answer to the question is Sanders in the Pro Bowl. Jody says Belichick, definitely. It's a tough question. Brian S. Steve says Sanders making the Pro Bowl is worse. Charles Manga says Sanders in the Pro Bowl is worse. Mitch Bergeron says Sanders is worse. UBN says Belichick being snubbed because nobody gives a bleep, 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 bleep about the Pro Bowl. I want to tell you, we got a lot of votes this morning. See, I knew a question like this would rile them up. Sanders in the Pro Bowl. Looks like it's going to be Sanders. Ryan Ashe says, good morning. Sanders can at least be justified because people may tune in to watch him. Belichick is much worse. Good point. I think it's probably, if I had to vote, I would vote Belichick solely because it's a much grander thing. I mean, Sanders in the Pro Bowl is really ridiculous and stupid. However, it's way smaller on they're both bad. But Belichick not making the Hall of Fame is a much grander stage, much bigger deal. Phil Mariani says placing Shedeur Sanders in the Pro Bowl should make it called the Toilet Bowl. Okay. S. Kelly says Belichick is a bigger story. Exactly. That's kind of my point. Charles also says, what happens if Sean gets not nominated? Bountygate. I mean, I don't think Sean Payton is a first ballot Hall of Famer anyway. Garland, you ready? I'm going to bring you in because we're going to kind of this is not really, we're going to get back to this. This is not necessarily what I want to lead with, but what is going on with my thing here? This one, and it's acting all weird. Good morning, Garland Gillen, by the way. We haven't seen you in a little bit.
What's up, Jim Derry? All is well. I mean, we only have one game left in the NFL season, but it is 24/7, 365 football. The Senior Bowl's going on. Transfer portal still has quakes out there. So, hey, we're ready to roll with it.
We're going to spend most of our time talking about the portal this morning, talking about Lane Kiffin. However, the fact that we're talking about this right now, when this comes up, because it's going to come up. I mean, when Sean Payton is nominated to the Hall of Fame, whenever he decides to hang up his coaching whistle, which may not be anytime soon, for all we know, who knows? But I mean, I don't know that I've seen a more ridiculous snub. I mean, it's going to be this. Will Sean Payton get snubbed by many because of Bountygate? Because he probably will be. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily a first ballot Hall of Fame anyway. But how long is Bountygate going to keep Sean Payton out of the Hall of Fame eventually?
No, Sean Payton, if he gets that second Super Bowl, which he's getting closer and closer, if he had Bo Nix as a starting quarterback, maybe they would be in this Super Bowl this season. I think the biggest flaw with that voting system, and I'm not a voter, and I've read a lot of stories, watched a lot of stuff. They changed the eligibility for a coach from 5 years to 1 year after he retires. They should just do it the same for coaches and players. 5 years out, give people a little time to think. That was too quick.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I guess the reason why they probably do it, if you think about it, I mean, Belichick is what, 72 or 73 or whatever. Payton will probably, I mean, there's a good chance Payton will be in his 70s when he retires, and you don't want him to die and not have their chance to be in there while they're living. So that's probably why they do it. But I absolutely understand why you say that. Rocky says hello, and UBN says you are the best stress dat guest since UBN wore a tuxedo shirt on New Year's. No.
I got a story today, and then they're doing like headshots in the Fox 8 studio today. So I was like, I got a lot going on. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna suit up now and tackle the day here at Fox 8.
Well, you say that, and I'm going to bring this slide back up. That means that, it's almost time for us to get a new picture of Garland Gillen down there when we're doing our, we got to say, I've had the same mug down there of you for a couple years now. So maybe it's time that, when you get that new headshot, make sure you send it along to us here on Dat so we can change it and update it.
Okay, that's fair enough. They're doing headshots the next 2 days here at Fox 8, so I'll get you on. I like that shot. I was at a Pelicans game. That's a good one, So we'll work on something.
All right, we're going to come back to the Super Bowl and probably talk a little bit more about Belichick. But I really want to spend most of our time here this morning. I know you got a hard out at noon. We'll probably get you out a little bit before that. But I want to spend most of our time here talking about LSU and Lane Kiffin. There's no question is the portal king. I mean, I said this morning, I don't think that this is just the best portal class, Garland. It's not just the best portal class of this year. And I know we don't have a lot to base it off of because the portal's only been around for a few years, but this is the best portal class I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're right. The portal only's been around since 2021, so it's only 5 years. And Lane Kiffin said this is the best portal class ever. And that was before he got Princewell Umanmielen, and then he picked up Jordan Seaton on that Thursday, Friday last week. It's loaded. It's an absolutely loaded class. The number is between 30, 35, 40 $40 million it costs to put that roster together, that transfer portal roster. They finally got some more help on the offensive line. That's my biggest beef with this LSU team. It was last year and it wound up being one of the worst offensive lines in LSU football history. So you got Braylon Moore in the middle. You got Jordan Seaton at left tackle. You're going to bring back Weston Davis, a right tackle who had a poor PFF grade last year. So you got to figure out left guard, right guard. I think the Maryland Baugh, the right guard there, is going to possibly get that. That's going to be his spot. So left guard might be the only thing open. So you got to put it all together. And then obviously there's been a lot of talk that Sam Levitt will not be there for the spring with a Liz Frank injury. So Husan Longstreet will get a lot of work. And so he looks really good. And then you got the quarterback out of Elon, Landon Clark. So that's the only thing that you're like, oh my goodness, like could pull back this team and pull back the hype would be how long this Levitt injury goes for. But saying all that, Jim, the floor, and I talked about this the other day on Garland Avenue, the floor is a college football playoff for this LSU football team. Like, I mean, I'm not saying Lane Kiffin, he missed the playoffs this year, he's getting fired, but the expectation now is the floor is college football playoff, and they're already talking title. And that's not crazy because Curt Cignetti in his first year at Indiana got into the college football playoff, and then he won a national title in year 2. So when you get a big transfer portal class, they expect championships right away. And a lot of these boosters put up a lot of money for that roster.
Okay, I'm 100% agree. Before we go any further, Garland, I'm going to throw something out there. I'm going to give you a little love, and then I got you on so quickly. I got to pay the bills. Okay, we got to pay the bills. All right. You know, that's important on this show, by the way. Yeah. Charles Mangus says, you are the most respected sport. Just throwing shade on me. You're the most respected sports journalist. And he says on Fox, Nola. Okay.
Oh,
man.
All right.
Well, I mean, come on. Garland, you know, I gotta go back and look. You might be the besides Larry Holder, and who was on every Friday for I think 2 years, and Zach Ewing, who's been on every Friday this year. You might be the most regular guest here on that. I'm gonna have to go do a count one day. Maybe I'll do that on my vacation when it comes up Mardi Gras week. I may go count and see how many times. I'd say you've been on the show 15 times, probably somewhere in that number.
Yeah, and you've been on just as many times on Final Bet. So, you know, I appreciate you coming down to Fox 8 Studios. I know you live on the North Shore, so it's quite a journey over here, but I appreciate it. So, yeah, you know, I enjoy this show, you know, and I don't have to move. That's good. I'm at my desk right now, so I got a little better off than you do. But I think you come into the city and go get a po' boy and stuff, so I'm not feeling that bad.
I usually find something to do although I'm on a diet right now. So I've been on a diet for a month.
I
have not had a po' boy in a little while. It's been a little bit. I am craving me a po' boy, but it has been a little while since I've had a po' boy. Earl says Garland on the Avenue. Absolutely. Make sure you watch Garland on the Avenue. All right, before I got to pay the bills, Garland. Before we get to the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business, and just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you or someone you know, maybe Garland has a business I don't know about, and I'm going to tell him to call Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. He'll start by scheduling a complimentary evaluation from his office, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette, and from there, you will be well-informed and begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? Well, we'll tell you after Garland goes to his luncheon and we move on with the show. In the meantime, you can check him out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. You can also check out my friend Joe DiStefano. Garland, 40 more seconds. We'll be right back on the other side. If you own a small business of fewer than 20 employees, you know how tough it is to get the best rates on health insurance. That's why you want to call Joe DiStefano Insurance. Joe and I have known each other for almost 40 years. I can tell you that he's someone that I trust. Look, health insurance shouldn't be one size fits all, and with Joe DiStefano, you get access to PPO networks and flexible plans designed to fit you, not just a cookie cutter mold. Joe's licensed, he's local, but he can help you no matter where you live and operate. From preventative care to peace of mind, we'll tailor a plan that works for your life today and tomorrow. Call Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132 to protect what matters most. Lots of love to our sponsors here on the Dattitude Podcast. This Dattitude Podcast on Wednesday morning, January 28th, brought to you, as always, by Evangeline Securities. Thanks to Evangeline and to Joe DiStefano Insurance. Garland Gillen here this morning. Tell them a little bit about Garland on the Avenue.
Yeah, so I live close to Audubon Park, and so I run every morning. But I will say right now I'm running inside on a treadmill.
It's a little chilly.
I don't do this temperature. I don't run in the 20s and 30s. So, but no, I started doing it 5 years ago because I listen to these podcasts every morning on my jogs, and I have opinions that are not in agreement with some of these podcasts. So I just started taping these videos on the avenue in the middle of my run. I just stop and I'll call some, call out some things
whatever
that
comes
I hear.
to mind, right?
And yeah, it comes to mind. Now it's gotten a little more curated where I'll do it on my way to work. So I'm obviously dressed a little better sometimes now, but they're always on the avenue for the most part. If I'm on business or working, I did some in Newport Beach when the Saints were in California. So I have moved it around a few places when I'm out of town for about a week or so. But for the most part, they're on the avenue. And people tell me they're not from here. They love watching the videos to figure out where I am on St. Charles Avenue. And they get excited when they see the streetcar coming behind me, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of taken on a life of itself. Somebody told me I should get a fancy microphone. And I'm like, no, the whole point of it is it's just me and my iPhone. And, the audio it's not good.
That's part
it's
of,
good.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
part
great,
of the whole thing.
But no, yeah. It's kind of, yeah. So I enjoy it. And I think it's perfect for like the world we're in now. The videos are like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, because, sometimes people's attention span is quick. So you got to give me everything 2.5 minutes. Sometimes, I like the long form podcasts and videos also, but sometimes people just want to see a 2-minute video and I give it to them.
Absolutely. And you can check him out. He'll probably be dodging barricades and ladders in the next week or so. Who knows? Yeah. I know you're probably not that far down when you're running, but anyway, you know what I mean? You'll have fun with it as you go close to Audubon Park. All right. Let's get into, there's a question up here that kind of goes into what I want to talk about, and remaining with this. Ryan Ashe says the competition for playing time on this LSU team will be intense. They better be ready for it. It's going to be, especially like at wide receiver, where you got just so many wide receivers on this team. I can't wait to see what, not necessarily just the spring, but like going into the summer, there's going to be flat out competitions and names that we're not really knowing all that well.
You make a great point on that. There's only one returning receiver that recorded a catch, and that was Philip Wright for 2 yards. Okay. Like he's throwing out a Desher hand. So that is the most wide open position on the roster. I think Jace Brown out of Kansas State might grab one of those 3 starting spots. Trey Wilson, the receiver, Eugene Trey Wilson out of Florida, he could grab another one. And then Winnie Watkins out of Ole Miss, he's now transferred to LSU. If you ask me today who were like the 3 starters, that might be it. But I mean, when you got 9, 10 receivers in the portal, who knows what's going to happen over time?
Plus the 3 incoming freshmen. You got Jabari Mack, Corey Barber, Bray now, and Jabari Mack is a 4-star recruit from Destiny.
Yeah, and Corey Barber, Rivals just released their final 5-star rankings yesterday, and Corey Barber moved up to a 5-star yesterday. That was a kid that was committed to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, and then Lane came to LSU, and Corey Barber flipped. He's from the state of Alabama. So, yeah, there's a lot of guys that could play right away that are freshmen. Especially when you look at Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson out of Edna Carr. But the wide receiver spot is going to be wide open because tight end's locked in, okay? Our guy, Trey'Dez Green, is going to be in the NFL after this coming season. He's an absolute stud, but there's going to be a crazy race at wide receiver that'll start this spring.
They really are. And, my question in all this, I got a couple of questions in the queue, but my question is I think that there's no question that Sam Levitt was the most important player in the portal. If you go through and look and, it starts with quarterback or it doesn't start. But who in your mind, who is the best player in this portal class? Is it Levitt or is it someone else that's the best player from this portal class?
Probably Jordan Seaton, because he's a future first pick. I mean, he could go all the way into the top 10 of the 2027 NFL draft.
Sure.
They spent a ton of money to get him in. So I would say that best player, but Princewell, Umami-Ellen, TJ Daugherty, they're going to start right away. Those are going to be very valuable assets. Obviously, you brought up Sam Levitt. So, and then on the back end, at secondary, Ty Benefield is an absolute just rocker when
we were
it comes
talking
to
about
making
him
hits.
On Monday, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if he's playing the star or he's playing one of the safety positions, but those are guys that are going to play right away. And those guys also, the four of them I just mentioned, or at least the three of them, the last three, Daugherty, Umami-Ellen, and Benefield, they only have 1 year of eligibility left. So they're the 1 year mercenary guys. So they should play right about, but I would probably go Jordan Seaton.
Talk a little bit about Levitt and what he brings to this team. And, obviously you got to have a quarterback. I don't think he's quite Jaden Daniels, but if you look at him, maybe that's who he reminds me most of the most previous LSU quarterbacks.
Yeah, very mobile. Arizona State fans, though, in my mentions all the time, complain that he got injured playing a pickup basketball game and it didn't even have to do something with football. But it's crazy the comparisons between these two quarterbacks that are both from Arizona State. If Sam Levitt gets even close to what Jaden Daniels accomplished in that final year at LSU, my goodness, we could have some excitement. Just, what happened with Jaden Daniels was LSU had no defense when he was there, one of the worst of all time. So you hope with Blake Baker in this, bringing back Whit Weeks and those guys, that'll be a little different for Sam Levitt.
Apathy says Lane Kiffin has outworked Brian Kelly in 2 months done more than 2 months than Brian Kelly's done in 4 years. I mean, we hear that all the time. I don't know if I would go that far. I'm not going to defend Brian Kelly because obviously what happened over 4 years was a disappointment. There's no question. But Lane Kiffin is setting himself up now, and I'm sure he likes this, but he's setting himself up now, Garland, to where if this team doesn't make the playoffs, it will be a bigger disappointment in 2026 if they don't make the playoffs than it was that they didn't make it in any other year the last few years.
Yeah, and we remember this, though, Jim. This is the second year in a row LSU's had the number one transfer portal class, okay? Last year, we were all getting excited about the transfer portal class Brian Kelly had last year, and they didn't make the playoff, obviously, finishing 7-6. So it is the first few months for Lane Kiffin. I know he's traipsing the country right now, getting pictures with coaches, going to all the high schools. It's the beginning, okay? Like, everybody's getting really excited about the transfer portal class and recruiting. I'm sure sooner or later Lane Kiffin's going to slow down. I am looking forward to spring football probably in March. That'll be really exciting. But yeah, that extra excitement. He's been kind of low key, Lane. Just talked to the Baton Rouge business community last week, and then that's been about it since his introductory press conference.
Yeah, and you guys, Fox 8 is the exclusive home of the Endymion Extravaganza, of which I am a member of Endymion. Maybe I'll find you this year. We'll see. But Lane Kiffin, he's Mardi Gras royalty now. We talked about it Monday. The Grand Marshal. I do love, and I'll say this for him, and I've given Lane Kiffin some grief, but he has certainly endeared himself or he's trying to endear himself to the community. Again, definitely not something that Brian Kelly did, and there's a question there: who's hated more in Louisiana, Brian Kelly or Derek Carr? And I mean, that's what Kelly and Carr had in common, Garland. I mean, I don't think either one of them went out of their way to endear themselves to the community. I mean, sure, Brian Kelly showed up to a couple basketball games or whatever and waved or whatever, but Lane Kiffin already a Grand Marshal of Endymion, and you see him out in the community when he's not out trying to get players to come in from the transfer portal.
Yes, Lane is definitely out there, endearing himself to the LSU fans, and he did the same thing at Ole Miss. I think that's why the Ole Miss fans were so bitter when he left, is because,
Yeah.
he felt like the Ole Miss fans felt like he was one of them. And now every single time I post about Lane in my comments on X, it's just vitriol, just up and down. I mean, just they bring up the 2024 season when he had a loaded transfer portal class and they lost to Kentucky at home. So sooner or later, the Ole Miss fans will move on. They got a really good coach in Pete Golding from Hammond, native. So I really like Pete Golding. I've met him numerous times because he recruited the Louisiana area when he was with Nick Saban at Alabama. He was all in on trying to get Arch Manning to the Alabama Crimson Tide. So I saw him 3 times on Newman's campus alone.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, you got to do what you got to do these days. And, somebody posted, where was it? UBN saying this is kind of true. I mean, not 100% true. Incoming freshmen who play will be a thing of the past. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because there are some really talented freshmen out there that I think they won't go to the big school if they don't think they're going to play. I mean, that's just my opinion on that. But an interesting question here that I think, of all the guests that we have, you probably have the best perspective on this. Wondering, Brian Cavett asked, in this wild, wild west era, he's asking, is the NIL money capped? The answer is no. But do you ever foresee a time when it will be capped? Do you see that it's going to get out of hand to the point where they're, all right, we got to do something about it? And I don't know how you would. Legally, I don't know if you could. But is it something that you think will be thought of at some point?
The NCAA is fighting wars right now with college basketball and G League players coming back to play college basketball. They have so many issues going on, the NCAA. It would take years, 5-10 years, to figure this whole thing out. They're so behind. They're dealing with tampering allegations between Ole Miss and Clemson right now. I'm sure the folders and are stacked so high for the NCAA with so many allegations out there. I don't know if that's even close on the periphery of problems they have to deal with.
What do you think of this whole NIL thing? Because I've said this many times. I mean, people who are regulars have heard me say this multiple times. But the NCAA put themselves in this mess, Garland. I mean, if they would have just, years ago when you and I were growing up with college football and watching it as in high school, and then obviously beyond that, if they would have just way back when said, you know what, let's find a way to pay players besides just giving them scholarships. Don't get me wrong. You should be happy you got a scholarship and all that. But I mean, college football is now a multi-billion-dollar entity, maybe even trillion-dollar entity. And these players deserve to get paid. So the people saying it's ruining college football, the amateur thing, the NCAA is the ones that designed this, and because of issues they were about to get into major legal battles, they've forced themselves in a corner, and I think the players deserve what they're getting at this point.
I have no problem with players getting paid. I think I saw a post from Richard Anderson yesterday. He got a house in Baton Rouge, and his family is living in Baton Rouge. I mean, I don't know his financial situation at Edna Carr, but I mean, this is life-changing money to a lot of these kids, and they can afford to eat and provide for their families in college, which I think is awesome, because you know what? Not a lot of these dudes are going to the NFL. Right. Okay. So this is their big shot. And I pray that they put some of that money aside, but also that have your family and in a house and everything. I think that's really awesome for these guys. I just don't know if there's going to be any changes anytime soon. And as long as boosters and businesses want to use these guys in advertisements, then I think they're getting their money's worth out of it. Okay. I think we're going to see Jordan Seaton maybe doing a Our Lady of the Lake commercial or doing a Gordon McKernan commercial soon. These people that are putting the money up for NIL are getting something in return. Okay. I see Todd Graves having LSU football players serving a Canes box on a Tuesday and bringing TV cameras. That's a lot of notoriety for Canes. So they're getting something out of this.
Yep, they certainly are. Apathy says what Miami did with Darian Mensah is way worse than what any school did, this transfer portal and the National Folk Society. I'm going to say this, Apathy. I mean, it's a dog-eat-dog world now. I got to say, look what happened. And he never played for LSU, but Michigan went out and, stole Bryce Underwood from underneath the Tigers' feet. And was it all on the up and up? Who knows? But, that's kind of the way that college football is these days.
Yeah, Larry Ellison's wife was just a big Michigan fan, and that's what changed the course of where we're at right now. And Bryce Underwood signed a huge contract. If you ask me between taking Bryce Underwood and Sam Leavitt, I'd probably take Sam Leavitt.
100%.
Watched numerous Bryce Underwood games last year. He's not an accurate quarterback. He can run, but he has major accuracy issues. Sam Leavitt has been in the battle for numerous years between Michigan State and Arizona State. He's been in the college football playoff. So if you're going to ask me next year who you want a quarterback, I say Sam Leavitt. I think it all worked out for everybody involved. It just took a lot longer to figure it out.
And apathy, I'm not out there saying you're wrong. I think with the way that it was handled and the whole, if you don't know, we're talking about Darian Mensah, former Tulane quarterback who got paid to go to Duke, got a 2-year contract to go to Duke, and is not fulfilling that 2-year contract because he's leaving. But now Duke's getting their money back because they're getting the buyout from Miami. And look, again, it's just the way. This is not the last one of these we're going to see. If you got a buyout, it's going to be paid by some school that wants you to go there. And I frankly don't get it because I don't think Darian Mensah was that great.
No, and guess what? Now the Tulane Green Wave, when they open on the road at Duke, they will not face Darian Mensah. So that is a win locally for the Tulane Green Wave. Will Hall's first game, he'll be going up against a backup that they didn't expect.
I didn't realize
that's
where
season.
they opened.
I've looked at the Duke quarterback room. What's that?
I didn't realize that's where they opened up next year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a 2-game series, home and home. Yeah, Tulane opens up at Duke. So go look at that Duke roster in the QB room. It's pretty lean. Now, you can almost say the same thing right now about the Tulane quarterback room. You got Zion Chris, who didn't start a game last year for Houston, and then you got Caden Simonza, who didn't log a snap last year for Tulane. Those are the returning guys that have had starting experience, and then you have the 3 freshmen on the roster. So Tulane situation is definitely got to be worked out also. I'm looking forward to Tulane starting their training camp March 9th.
All right, before we move on to something else here, I want to ask you, do you think you touched on it before, do you think that Lane Kiffin is going to be able to pull off, is he going to be able to be as good a coach on the field as he's been in maneuvering this transfer portal? Obviously, Brian Kelly was not, and that was the end of him, and we don't know if he'll ever coach again. Will Lane Kiffin be able to back up his portal charades?
I think so. He's got the coaching staff. He's keeping Charlie Weis Jr. intact there, and he's got Blake Baker on the other side. They open with a weak Clemson team that they should definitely beat in Tiger Stadium. Clemson will not even be ranked in the AP top 25 preseason poll. So you get that. It's just week 3. Jim, yesterday I talked to an Ole Miss grad. He's going to be there. Everybody's talking about LSU at Ole Miss in week 3. That's going to be a security issue. It's going to be a really rowdy day to be in Oxford. It's going to be exciting to cover, but also I have some apprehension that there's some weird stuff that might go on.
Yeah, not to get into politics, but that would be like Trump having a press conference in the middle of Minneapolis on some street in Minneapolis. So and all kidding aside, if you're Lane Kiffin, you better hope there's like super security there. You may need to send some people from the Secret Service there to watch him, because who knows what's going to be thrown at him, or it's bad enough. Who cares what they yell at him? But you do worry about his safety. I never really thought about that from that angle, but that is absolutely true.
Well, look back to when Lane was at Ole Miss and he went to Tennessee, left them after 1 year. Somebody threw a golf ball at Lane Kiffin on the sideline in the Ole Miss game when they beat the Tennessee Vols. So he's already used to this. Okay, like people threw like mustard bottles at that game and
what is wrong with people?
But a golf ball went almost right by Lane, almost hit him.
Yeah, don't get me started on how stupid people are. But isn't there a way to say if you don't like someone and do something else besides doing stupid stuff like that? But that's a whole different story, whole whole different show. All right. If you had to put, and I haven't seen it, I'm sure they're out there. Have you looked? Are there odds on the Natty or the next year or the playoffs? I haven't seen them. Have you noticed them?
Oh yeah, we tackled it last week on Final Bet.
How did I miss that?
Get this, FanDuel.
Okay, I'm calling it up while you're talking.
FanDuel Sportsbook has over-unders for 3 schools. 3.
Okay.
I'm like, what? How did they pick these 3? It's Arkansas, Virginia Tech, and LSU are the 3 schools they have an over-under win total on, and the LSU Tigers is 9.5, which I think is a great starting point to get money on both sides, okay? Because if you get to 10, that means you're probably in the college football playoff. But then on the other side, there's a lot of people out there that do not like Lane Kiffin and think he's a villain, and they'll take the under. So you're going to get a lot of good money on both sides on that one. LSU, I think, is the 7 team in the championship betting odds right now.
I've got it up right now. I've got it up right now, and DraftKings we just use just because we want to be regular and the same. Ohio State is number 1 right now. Of the futures for next year, they are plus 700, which means if you don't bet, it means they're 7-1. And actually, they're tied with 2 other schools. Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Indiana are all 7-1. So those teams are tied for the lead. And Texas is also 7-1. So 4 teams are 7-1. Then you got Oregon at 9-1, Georgia at 11-1, and LSU is 13-1 to win the national championship game. Just slightly ahead of Texas Tech, Miami, and Texas A&M. Alabama, interestingly enough, 22-1. When's the last time we saw Alabama at plus 2,200? That might be worth $1 or $2. And then Ole Miss is 35-1. So everybody else after that, it drops off in a hurry. But LSU, as you said, Garland, 7th right now in the future. So that means that they're probably better than even money to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you're calling it. Yeah, Jim, I think there's going to be a lot of money on LSU making that playoff. But I think the over-under total that FanDuel had, 9.5, is a good starting point to get money on both sides, because that's what they're there for, okay? They're trying to, you want to get bettors on both sides, and I think that's a good number. Sam Levitt's also in the Heisman Trophy odds. He's pretty high. Of course, for the second year in a row, like Arch Manning's right at the top. On our show last week, one of the betting services I use had CJ Carr and Arch Manning tied on the top for Heisman Trophy odds. So more of the same. It's going to be a lot of Arch Manning hype, a lot of Texas Longhorns hype, but LSU Fighting Tigers are in that mix. And the difference, though, is with our, Texas is they're hosting Ohio State this year in week 2.
And last year, about this time, I think Arch Manning was right up there as well, if not number 1, certainly in the top 3, along with Garrett Nussmeier, who was also in the top 3 at this time last year, something like plus 600 or 6-1. So obviously early Heisman vote. I mean, if you would poll the Dattitude regulars, I would say that maybe 10% of them heard of Mendoza going into this past season. So there you go. All right. I want to jump into, I got a few Saints questions. So we're going to, the theme of this Saints segment here, we only got about 10 more minutes whether you hear this morning, but does the Patriots run give the Saints hope? So can you compare, the Patriots went 4-13, Garland, then 4-13, and now they're in the Super Bowl again with Drake May, who is a 2nd-year quarterback. With Tyler Shuck, and I got a couple of questions that I want to get to this morning. But so the main thing this morning is, because of Drake May in his 2nd year and all the transformations that have gone on in New England, do you give the Saints any hope to have a similar kind of run in 2026?
So I don't know if you saw on social media yesterday, but I got an opportunity to interview Tyler Shuck, and I asked him that exact question about the teams last year missing the playoffs, Patriots and Seahawks, and now they're both in the Super Bowl. And now Tyler Shuck is here too, and he gave a pretty down the middle answer, but he definitely hopes that that's the case. And I'll answer for him. I think that it perfectly aligns that way, because the Patriots have a really strong defense, and I'm starting to think that the Saints defense became I think it's an up and coming defense, and on the back end of the year did really well. And I only think they need to make a slight adjustments to that defense. Okay, maybe add 1 or 2 pieces. And then I think more on the offense, you need to put more weapons around Tyler Shuck, a receiver, a running back, and then I hope, Jim, they get linemen in free agency. I do not want to see Roger Goodell go to the podium in Pittsburgh in April and say with the 8th pick they take an offensive lineman.
They're not going to do that.
Get those guys in free agency. I'm so tired of getting offensive linemen in the draft. I understand they need them.
I can't remember the assistant commissioner's name, but I maybe in the second round he goes up there, and maybe the Saints take a lineman in the second round. But I would be
fine.
Shocked might be a little bit too strong a word, but I would be very surprised if the Saints did that in the first round. Good morning, Dylan Smith. You're in and out today, but you're always here. Who dat? And kind of along the lines of the theme of this, Ryan's got a quick Saints question. And now I did not see this interview, but I don't think we need to see it to answer this question. What do we make of the Kay Adams interview with Demario? Let's just say it didn't sound like there will be any hometown discount. I said on this show Monday, and I've said it in the past couple of weeks. If you listen to Demario Davis, not just the Kay Adams interview, because I didn't see that one, but I've heard him talk in the last few weeks, I don't think he's going to give a hometown discount. I think he's at the top of his game. So with that, what would you put the odds on Demario Davis coming back to the Saints next year?
I would put it at 70-30 he's back. 70 being he's back, 30 he leaves. Like a Cam Jordan, if the Saints are going to offer him a new contract, I think like Cam Jordan really wants to focus on his legacy. I don't think he wants to finish his career somewhere else. Demario's been with the New York Jets, so it's a little different. Now, Demario has roots in the New Orleans area, and, he's from outside Jackson, Mississippi. But, yeah, he's still at the top of his game. Intrigued to know if the Saints, if it gets too high, if they just decide they want to roll with Danny Stutzman and Pete Werner instead of have Demario back. That's one to watch, because I think Cam should get the opportunity for another year, because I think he looked really strong this past year. And yeah, and just Cam's in such great shape, man. He's in great shape. It's amazing. He's like a Tom Brady. Like, as you get older, he gets wiser and he's getting stronger. I don't know if he's getting faster, but he definitely told Juan Kincaid the other day that he can jump higher than he did when he was like a rookie. So like that's just doing core workouts and stuff that you can use different body parts.
Yeah, I just look, Cam's coming back. That would be a big surprise. I don't think in fact, I would be shocked if he played anywhere else. So I think it's either retirement or come back to the Saints. And I don't think he's ready to retire. I mean, I think everything he says leads to him coming back to the Saints. They'll give him something. They'll probably give him a similar contract to what he had this past year and make an incentive laden and give him a chance to make $10 million. But as far as Demario, again, it depends. The question you ask, is there going to be a price that gets too high? I think there is, Garland. And I think the Saints this is the number we have in mind. And if he is refused, if he doesn't want to take that, then I think he's going to go. So that's why I kind of put it at 50-50. You say 70-30. I think it's really more like 50-50, because I don't think the Saints are going to overpay for Demario Davis. I'm not saying they shouldn't, because, again, he's had 2 career years, which is hard to believe at his age. He's had the most tackles he's had the past 2 years. You could argue that his veteran leadership between he and Cam were so important for this fairly young defense. And we don't know the impact it's even had on guys like Chase Young. So I think it's important to get him back. But at the same time, you cannot overpay for a guy that's 37 years old.
Yeah, no, I like Demario's game. Okay. I think he's fantastic. He never misses a start. I'm intrigued to see what's out there for him. Is somebody going to sign him to a multi-year deal that's outside of the New Orleans Saints? I could see the Saints give him a 2-year deal, but who else is be willing to pay him that much? So that is definitely one to monitor. Like, and another one, like, I really don't think Taysom Hill comes back. I think the Saints are probably going to move on from him. I think it was pretty telling in his press conference in his final home game. He got emotional. I think he felt like this might be the end also. So that's one to watch. And then, Kamara, he'll be back, but I mean, he's at the end of his career. That's why I'm just so
I don't know, Garland. I don't know.
He looks very happy in Aspen, Colorado, snowboarding.
Yeah. I mean, look, He could, and Zach and I have had this conversation of why would you let him go? I mean, he'd have to be a post June 1 cut. What are you really going to do with $8.5 million post June 1? Well, I think you could there's still going to be guards left to sign. There's still going to be people out there that you need post June 1. And I think there's a decent chance. I know I'm probably in the minority because most people think he's coming back, but I'm not so sure. What are you going to do with a 31-year-old running back when, first of all, you better go draft Jeremiah Love? I mean, I think that's what they really need to go do in the draft. But, what are you going to do with a 31-year-old running back who obviously took a major step backwards, not just because he got hurt, but even the games he played in, he wasn't the same. So I don't know. You want to spend that kind of money? I don't know. We'll see. So.
No, and behind Alvin, you got Devin Neal, who's coming off an injury. You got Kendre Miller's coming off another injury. But you got Audric Estime. You got a lot of guys that don't have a ton of experience behind Kamara. So that's why, I think you need to draft a running back. And then I think Kamara loves being in New Orleans. I think that, I think he might have something left. Maybe he has got 500 yards in him, and New Orleans Saints will take that. Yeah, I think he's got one more year.
All right, we'll see. And you got about 3 minutes left. So before you leave, and I'm going to come back, everybody out there in the Dat family, we're going to come back to this after Garland's off. But I can't let you go without talking a little bit about just your thoughts on Bill Belichick being snubbed by the Hall of Fame as a first ballot. And you talked a little bit about it when you first came on, but just your general thoughts.
Yeah, it looks bad for everybody involved in this. I know there's going to be probably a statement put out by the Hall of Fame voters. I watched morning shows on the treadmill today, and they were just absolutely just crushing the whole process. The only thing I could come up with, I know you said that some of these guys are really old. That's why they moved it from a 5-year wait to a 1-year wait. I think you need more time for these guys. I mean, 1 year is just
yeah.
Let everybody breathe a little on this. So like even the Saints Hall of Fame, it's 3 years after you retire, you're eligible for the Saints Hall of Fame. I understand the Saints and the Pro Football Hall of Fame are two different things, but I kind of like that 3-year wait before you go into the Hall of Fame. So that's a little different. Hey, he's going to get in next year. In the grand scheme,
he's going to get in, but it's still absurd. He's going to get in. There's a lot of
life and death. Yeah, he's going to get in. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there's much bigger issues out there in sports, and Bill Belichick not making the Hall of Fame this year, I don't think is at the top of the list. I think there's real problems in college and professional sports, and this is one that'll get rectified. Okay, he'll be in next year, and everybody will say, "Oh, well, thank goodness it's over with," and he got in and that kind of stuff. I'm more focused on if Drew Brees is going to get in next Thursday at the NFL Honors.
I think there's no doubt. I'd be shocked if Drew Brees isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay, last question before we let you go, because we won't have you on before the Super Bowl is played. Your pick for Super Bowl 60 and your pick to win it, your spread pick.
Ooh, so spread's what, 4.5, 5 right now? What's it sitting at right now?
4.5. Seahawks 4.5.
Okay, it's
leaning towards the Seahawks, so about minus 115 on the Seahawks.
All right. I say Seahawks win, but Patriots cover. So there you go. Get a little crazy there. So you can maybe like have it there, maybe do like a parlay there. Seahawks win, Patriots spread. I like that one. So I think that the Seahawks, Sam Darnold, I like this defense. I like the quarterback and Darnold. Drake May's good quarterback, but I don't know if he's ready for this spotlight just yet. So give me the Seahawks to win their second Super Bowl title.
I'm sure the Seahawks are going to win because I have lots of futures on the New England Patriots to win the Super Bowl. And nobody wants me to win any money. So who you got on final bet, Garland?
Final bet this week. I got a loud one. I got Scott Kushner's coming over the first time in about 2 months. He's always got an opinion, and we're going to talk Pelicans. So, he focuses a lot on the Pelicans. I will say this. there's not a lot of people in the media that give a lot of oxygen to the New Orleans Pelicans, but Scott's been there a long time. He goes to a lot of the games. He's also a big UNO privateer fan. So I've been to one of those games. The UNO won, but there was only 300 people in the stands, so somebody needs to give them love. So yeah, so we got him on, Juan and I. We're going to talk a lot of Pelicans, a lot of New Orleans Saints, and might drop a little LSU in there.
All right, well, I just threw the Pelican slide on there because I made one, and we just didn't get to it because we'll see. Anyway, Garland, thank you so much for your time. I know you got to run to a luncheon. Remember, we need that new headshot for Garland Gillen next time he comes on this show. We always appreciate you. You are a friend of the show, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, I appreciate it, Jim. Have a great day.
All right. Garland Gillen, everyone. Always a great guest here. And I put this Pelican slide on here because I made it. We may say a couple words about the Pels before we go out here, but that's definitely not what I want to talk about the rest of our time here, because we're probably, I say this all the time and we don't, but Gabe's not here this morning. Gabe had some prior engagements, so he couldn't make it this morning. And so we are going to fill up his time talking about the Saints, but I think we're going to get out of here before the 1:30 mark. I think it's a possibility. A couple things I wanted to show from before, and I apologize. I wasn't passing over some of these on purpose, and if I missed another one that you want me to show, please feel free to type it in again. JC's here this morning from depressing Denver. Yeah, we kind of told you that was going to happen there, JC. I know you were rooting for the fighting Paytons. Temperature is 40 degrees in Denver. What is it right here in Mandeville this morning as we speak? It is 48 degrees in Mandeville, Louisiana this morning. All sun. But it is going to get nasty. Not that this is the Nash Roberts segment of this broadcast. We are not sponsored by any meteorological society. But I will tell you, if you don't know this and you haven't paid attention to the news, it is going to get ugly again this weekend. The high in the New Orleans area on, what day is this? On Saturday, it may not get above freezing. It's a possibility that, and if it does, it's barely going to get above freezing. And wind chills are going to be in the teens in the middle of the day. It is going to be ugly. It's UBN's favorite weather. Can you believe that? All right, we are going to move on here, and we're going to talk a little bit of Saints before we finish the show, probably talking about Bill Belichick is probably how we're going to go here. But we told you earlier we were letting you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? Forget the poll question. Forget the question of what our programming note is. That's the best question of the day. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, they'll begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world. They'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and 0.0 with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. And it's not about anybody's contract or how long the NIL is going to last or how many people are in the portal. No, you know what's the most important question for you and anyone who owns a small business? The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. That's right. No Gabe today. Sorry. JC says Demario Davis probably going. They're going to be stick with Stutzman. Brian, we'll get to in dollars. What would Demario Davis's deal look like? Well, you know what? In just a minute, I'm going to look up what his contract was. And it'll be something similar, I would guess. He also said he wouldn't sign him more for the $10 million. I don't know if you're talking about Cam there. They're not going to sign Cam to more than $10 million. He'll probably get a similar, probably going to get an $8 million, $6 to $8 million base with incentives that could get him to 10, is my guess. Charles says Demario Davis is the ultimate leader of the defense. They have to keep him. They don't have to do anything. I'm telling you right now, don't set yourself up for to be super upset because I'm telling you right now, it's about 50-50. It just is. I know you want to, you can't let him go. Yes, you can let him go. This is a business. If he's not willing to sign for whatever your max is, I guarantee you right now that Mickey and company know what their max is on Demario Davis. They're not going to tell you what it is. They're not going to tell him what it is. But they know what their max is, and if he's not willing to take whatever that max is when they get there, he's not going to stay. Good morning, Gary. It doesn't matter that you're late. We're glad you're here. Phil Mariandi says Demario Davis and Cam will be back, still stout on defense. Shane Bergeron, my friend Shane's here. Would love to see, that's a long one, my friend. Would love to see Demario back, but at the right price. I think the whole purpose is trying to get younger based on keeping all 9 of your draft picks last year and trading for more this year. May not happen, but would love to see us sign Rashid Shaheed back. Probably not going to happen. I put it at about 15 to 20%. And just heard me talk about Jeremiah Love. Like it, point intended. Love it, point intended. Pun intended, yeah. Earl says Kendra Miller can go. Oh, I know you meant pun. What else? Talking about Alvin Kamara, Brian says lack of production was caused by a bad O-line. I disagree. If you go back and look at those games, and the one even when he got past the line, just wasn't. Taysom issues like coming from major. Taysom's not coming back. I'm not going to say 0.0, but it's 0 point something that Taysom Hill comes back to the Saints this year. Not 0.0, but it's close. And Kamara, I just look again. I know y'all love Kamara, and look, people don't like it's funny because people don't mind it as much this year that I'm talking. It's not blasphemy. Last year was blasphemy when I was talking about Alvin Kamara and what you would get out of a 30-year-old running back. He's not Derrick Henry. Okay. I love Alvin Kamara as much as anyone. He's no question. He's in this team's Hall of Fame. He's might even be on the Mount Rushmore of Saints. It's either him or Deuce, the greatest running back in Saints history, and it's really not that close. But you go beyond that, and he's going to be a 31-year-old running back. And there are, a handful probably in history of the National Football League that were super effective or even effective. Let's forget the super. That are over the age of 30. Now going to be over the age of going to be 31 that are effective. You just can't expect those sorts of things. And I called up his number, and Charles is talking about his numbers like his numbers were a good thing because it was only half a season. His numbers were not good. He didn't have he had one game where he did not have a single game where he rushed for 100 yards. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. But he had only 2 games all year where he rushed for more than 70 yards. And he played by the way, Charles, he played in more than 8 games, half a season. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. That's a lot more than half of a season. Okay? He only missed 6. And to have just 2 games where he rushed for more than 70 yards, you can't do that. You can't have, to me, that's not even a number 1 back, especially because the league's starting to transfer back to more running backs having a little bit bigger of a role than they had for what, 4 or 5 or 6 years. It was all about the wide receiver. I think it's kind of going back a little bit. You go, how many touchdowns did Alvin Kamara score last year in 11 games? Does anybody know the answer? This is a trivia question for you. Don't cheat. How many touchdowns did Alvin Kamara score last year? That answer would be 1. He scored 1 touchdown last year. He played in 11 games last year. He rushed for 471 yards. The year before that, he played in 14 games and had double the yards, more than double the rushing yards in just 3 more games. Alvin Kamara hasn't played in a full season since his rookie year. He's played in close to full seasons, but 11 last year, 14 the year before that, 13 the year before that, 15 the year before that. That's great. 13 the year before that. So what's he going to play in as a third? So, you're trying to compare what Alvin Kamara could do for a full season. Well, that's great in theory. But why would anyone expect him to play a full season? You can't. You just can't. Look, again, I get Zach's point, and it's not just Zach's point of, when you talk about running backs and, are you willing to spend the money? Well, you've already kind of spent the money, but you can get $8.5 million. Is it worth getting $8.5 million after June 1? I think it is. It doesn't help your current salary cap situation, which they're over the cap, by the way. They're in the bottom. I don't know. It's way better than it was before. It's way better than it's been in years. But they're still over the cap. They are going to have to do some maneuvering. So it doesn't help you with that, from that aspect. However, if you remember last year, there were a lot of linemen that were around that just didn't get picked up in free agency. That's going to happen because we've already told you that this year is a great year for guard. And all those available guards that are free agents, they're not all going to be signed before June 1. Running back free agency wise, though, that is way different. You want to know some of the names that are available free agency? Because the Saints, this is why it's even more important to Jeremiah Love. The running back situation to me is similar to what the guard situation was last year. It was not good. This year it's good. Excuse me. There are two running backs on this list that are absolutely fantastic, and one, I would be shocked if he doesn't go back to his current team. The one that's not going to go back to his current team, and the one that's going to be available, and it's number one on this list, and I don't think it's close, is Breece Hall. Are the Saints going to give Breece Hall, would they be willing to give Breece Hall probably takes a $45 million, 4-year, $45 million contract to get a Breece Hall? Are they willing to do that? Man, if you paired a Breece Hall with a Jeremiah Love, oh my goodness. Wow. They might, but I doubt it. Okay. The second best player on the list is Kenneth Walker, and he's going to go back to the Seahawks. You would just assume that he's going to go back to the Seahawks. They'll give him what he wants because he's that damn good. I mean, to me, he's better than Breece Hall, actually. I think Kenneth Walker is better than Breece Hall. I didn't expect talking about running backs this morning, but that's where we are. The rest of the names, none of them do really anything for me all that much. Rashad White, don't care. Sport Track says that his worth is going to be in the neighborhood of $7.5 million a year. I'm not giving Rashad White $7.5 million a year. Next would be Javonte Williams. He didn't do anything for Dallas. They say he's going to get $7.3 million. No thanks. Travis Etienne, who's a Louisiana dude, $6.8 million. No thanks. Rico Dowdle. I know Gabe loves him, but he's 27 right now. He made $934,000. He's going to get paid $4.3 million is what he's worth. Okay, maybe. Then you got Isaiah Pacheco, who I think actually Rico Dowdle is going to be. I take that back. He'll turn 29 at the end of next year. I'm not paying that for Rico Dowdle. And Isaiah Pacheco, maybe. I mean, I think he has a lot of tread on the tires. And then you go, and then the rest of them are names like Kenneth Gainwell, Najee Harris, who's been hurt, Austin Eckler, who's 31, and he's certainly been hurt, Jeremy McNichols. J.K. Dobbins is hurt every year, but, J.K. Dobbins is a fantastic back when he's healthy. Kareem Hunt, who's going to be 31 when the season starts, Tyler Algier, those names like that. So, yeah, look, I get it. What are your other options? I understand that, and you're talking about the salary cap and all that. I just don't see how you spend the money that some people want to spend. I just don't think. Barry, we're going to finish the show with Bill Belichick. Barry Ulay says NFL Hall of Fame voters are frauds. There's a lot of voters that are frauds. No love lost for Bill, but he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. This reminds me of Woodson in the Heisman voting when Woodson won it over Peyton Manning. Don't get me started on that. To me, that's one of the most ridiculous things. And I don't really care that much about awards, but that's one of the most ridiculous things in awards and whatever. Apathy says, drama in Cleveland. Jim Schwartz crashed out really bad when being told he was not good. Did he? Really? I mean, are you surprised by that? Are you surprised that? I mean, he probably thought nobody else wanted the job, and Jim Schwartz thought he was getting it, and he didn't. And if you weren't with us this morning, Todd Monken is the new coach of the Cleveland Browns. I mean, Jim Schwartz was fine as I don't know. I think that team needs an offensive coach. That team absolutely needs an offensive coach. Ryan, going back to what we were talking about before, the Patriots give us hope with a small window with Shuck making nothing. So now's the time. I don't think that's a small window. I mean, you're right about the small window of Shuck making his rookie deal. He's got 3 more years of it. You probably, if I had to guess, if he turns into what you think he's going to be, you'll probably restructure before that 4th year to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. We'll see. Daryl Hayden, good morning. Still shoveling snow in Arkansas. Yikes. He wants Etienne. I'm not spending that kind of money on Etienne. What does this say for Etienne? He's worth $6.8 million a year, which means you probably got to give him a $28 million contract for 4 years. I don't think. Earl wants love. Daryl says love first. 100%. Let's see. Let me go. I did this the other day. I think one day last week we did this, but let's see Demario Davis's contract as I do this on live TV. I know y'all love when I do this. All right. The last 2 years. Okay. Well, he wasn't making as much as I thought. They had reworked his contract, so it's kind of hard to tell. His cap hit for next year, which was voided because he's an unrestricted free agent, is $14.3 million. So you could see something to where they rework his deal. He's also got dead cap hits of $4.3 million in 27, 2.9. Man, this whole kicking the cap crap, kicking the can. It's so sickening, dude. It is. It's just sickening. I mean, I get you got to do whatever you got to do if you think you're gonna. But man, it hurts you in the long run. All this dead cap stuff. So if Demario Davis goes somewhere else, they still got to take the $14.3 million cap hit because they're restructured from before. So what do I think his salary is going to be? I don't know, man. I'm not a salary expert, but judging by what I see here, so his last extension was 3 years for $27 million, so $9 million a year. I think that's bare minimum, dude. I think bare minimum $9 million a year, right? Is he worth it? Yeah, I think he's worth that. But what if he says, I'm not playing for more than that? What if the Saints max is, let's just say it's $10 million a year. All right. And you don't want to make it an incentive late. Maybe they try to make his incentive late him. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. Ryan says 20, 26, and 27 at the rookie deal. Then he gets restructured prior to 28, which will be $40 million more than he's making. And probably more than that, dude. Talking about Shuck. More than that. More than that. H-Town Creole says there's no running back in the draft worth a first-round draft pick. 180%, which isn't a real thing. 100.0% Jeremiah Love is not worth just a first-round draft pick, but he's worth a number 8 pick. 100.0%. That dude is a franchise-changing running back. And if the Saints pass on him, I can tell you right now, H-Town, right now, if the Saints pass on him, the percentage of chance of the Kansas City Chiefs taking him at 9 is somewhere in the ballpark of 98 to 99%. And this is even if Love makes it to 8. If the Saints pass on Love, if Love's available at 8 and the Saints pass on him, you can bet your sweet ass that the Kansas City Chiefs will be run. They will not take their 10-minute allotment or 12-minute or whatever the hell it is. They will not take their full allotment. They will run to the podium and take Jeremiah Love. I promise you. No chance that doesn't happen. Earl's pick says you Bottom line is with Demario, you can't overpay a player at his age, and that's how the Saints got in this mess they're just starting to dig out of. 100%. I agree. And as much as I love Demario Davis and want him to come back for this team because I think that you need him back for multiple reasons, not just because of the great player that he was the last two. Do I think he's going to outdo his tackle number again? No, I don't. I don't think he's going to. He had the most tackles he ever had in his career in 2024 and then outdid it in 2025. I don't think he's going to do it again. He could, but I doubt it at age 37. That doesn't mean that he's not worth $9 million a year. Okay, fine. $9 million a year. I mean, to have that veteran presence and let Stutzman be kind of a role player like he was. And look, Stutzman played a lot more towards the end of the season. I think that's what you want, no doubt. He'll probably play a lot more. It'll give you a chance. Demario comes back that you don't have to play him every snap. You can do with Demario Davis similar to what you did with Cameron Jordan, and you play him fewer snaps and keep him healthy and fresh and whatever. Great. But as a veteran presence on this team and a captain, not just on the defense, but a captain for this team, yeah. But you cannot overpay, as Earl said, because you're already got this dead cap space. You're going to have to rework. If you do re-sign him, you're going to rework this contract again. And you're going to have dead cap money at some point on Demario Davis because no matter how you restructure it, you're looking at dead cap money because they're going to void his contract after the fact or whatever, and you're still going to pay dead cap money at some point. May not be this year. But they got to stop doing all these kinds of. It's one thing to do to rework contracts and have some dead cap money later, but you can't do it like they've been doing and have just where it just bites you in the ass and you're just dead. And if you look at the Saints and where they were, I mean, they just had nothing. There's nothing they could do. I mean, there's nothing they could do. And they really got lucky with Shuck because now they don't have to pay a quarterback and they got a Shuck rookie. I mean, it's not just a rookie. It's like free money. It's like house money you're playing with Tyler Shuck right now. I mean, he signed an $11.6 million contract or whatever it was for 4 years. I mean, there was any debate they should have signed day one. I mean, there was actually debate back. I mean, who cares about $11 million? That's like us going to lunch. H-Town, you're wrong. Okay. This isn't the draft. He says this isn't the draft where, and I get your point of view. You're not the only one with this point of view. I understand it. He said this isn't the draft where Andy Reid outmaneuvering Sean Payton from Mahomes. Running backs are not franchise cornerstones anymore. I bet you the Philadelphia Eagles would love to disagree with you. Where would the Baltimore, and again, they didn't make the playoffs last year, but where would the Baltimore Ravens would have been this past year? And obviously Lamar is the cornerstone of that team, understandably. But where would they have been without Derrick Henry? Where would they have been the year before that without Derrick Henry? You think about the teams that are going forward, and you think about the teams that were really good this year. And the Patriots, no, they weren't a cornerstone. Patriots had pretty solid running game. And to me, again, I'm going to say this again. I don't think people can understand how good Kenneth Walker is. And you can give Sam Darnold all the love on the planet. But the Seattle Seahawks are not in the Super Bowl without Kenneth Walker, period. They're just not. As great as Jackson Smith and Jigba has been. And as overperforming as Sam Darnold has done. That's right, I said overperforming. If you go back and look, again, H-Town, go back and look at the last 3 to 4 years. And I think you're going to start to see also going forward that you're going to see the contracts again becoming more commensurate with what they're supposed to be. I mean, running backs have been cheap relatively to wide receivers, but wide receivers are the most overpaid, overhyped positions on planet Earth. I mean, they just are. And my friend from the other day who won the Dumbass of the Week award was like, well, aren't you being hypocritical? Because you said Chris Olave deserves $100 million, $120 million for 4 years. And I said that because that's what it is. I mean, you have to pay for the top 15 guys. If you want one of them, you got to pay. Running back, you don't have to pay that. It's not the same. But I think for this team, it just makes that much sense to go out and get a Jeremiah Love. If anything else, contract-wise, and get him in on a rookie deal and let him play here for 4 years and see what happens. And look, I guarantee you the Jets, the Jets, they sucked. Yeah, I get it. They sucked. But, I mean, Breece Hall was literally their only offense the last half of the season. They were terrible. Wouldn't the Pittsburgh Steelers have loved to have a running back that was worth a damn? I mean, go through and think about it. I mean, the Broncos underperformed at running back this year. Harvey was fine. Dobbins was hurt for half the year, or maybe not quite half the year. And they suffered without him. So you can go through all these teams. I mean, for Tampa Bay went on that 7-game losing streak. Do you think it's any coincidence it happened when Bucky Irving got hurt? I don't. Go through and look. So, I mean, you can say running back's not in vogue anymore and they're not nearly as important, but I agree. I'm sorry, I disagree. I respectfully disagree. I'm not going to say you're a dumbass for thinking that. You're not going to win the Dumbass of the Week award for saying that. I mean, I get your point, and especially with younger crowd. The younger crowd, the Gen Zers in the world, the millennials in the world, boy, they love them some wide receivers because it's fun. Throw the ball 60 times. Go for it on 4th and 5. Go for it on 4th and 3 from your own 40. It's fun. That doesn't mean it's the right way to play football. We're seeing more and more. I don't mean to digress as we get here close to the end of the show. But I will say that I think that you're going to see a trend. I may be wrong on this, but I think you're going to see a trend to where football starts going back to its roots. I really do. I think you're going to see this may be the high this year of teams going forward. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me hoping this. But I hope that coaches go back and look and see what happened in these playoffs and the 4th downs and not running the ball and trying to – my favorite is when it's like 3rd and 5, when they shouldn't run and they do run, trying to set up for 4th down. Old school may not be the most fun football on planet Earth, but it sure was pretty effective. I think you're going to see coaches learn a lot. Speaking of coaches that learn a lot as we go out here this morning, you're going to throw this slide up there. I know we're not talking about a whole lot about the Super Bowl because we're still over a week away, and I'm go back to the poll question from this morning. The poll question that we got started, if you weren't here when we started the show, was what, in fact, let me read it real quick because I don't screw it up. The poll question was, which is worse, Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl or Bill Belichick being snubbed by the Hall of Fame? And going into some of the votes from before, I'm going way back. Who that said Bill. Rocky said Sanders. Jody said Bill. That's 2-1. Brian said Sanders. That's 2-2. Charles said that's 3-2. And usually I've been putting these out so you can vote ahead of time, but I didn't today. Sanders 3-2. Owen 4-2 on Sanders. Ryan Belichick, that's 4-3. If I count, it's 4-4. S. Callie said Belichick, it's 5-4. And there are actually a few more votes as a Belichick there. So looks like Belichick, the answer is Belichick. So Brian says, I'm assuming this means Bill Belichick is a piece of crap. I don't care if he's a piece of crap. I mean, how many times do we have to go? The Hall of Fame is not a personality contest, okay? It isn't who is going to go feed the homeless. It isn't about that, okay? It just isn't. Who cares? I don't care if he's a nice guy. He had to be the biggest dick that ever lived. Ty Cobb is probably the biggest douche who's ever played sports. He's in the Hall of Fame, and rightfully so. There's no question he belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I don't care about, you're saying no. Maybe I got it wrong. But that just goes, whether that's what you meant or not, Brian, the point is, this is what I've read, okay? I've read this is why some people are, politics can, a source familiar, and this is ESPN wrote this. A source familiar with Belichick's thinking said, quote, politics kept him out. He doesn't believe this is a reflection on his accomplishments. Well, of course he doesn't. Another quote from this ESPN story that I'm trying to find here. A veteran Hall of Fame voter said to ESPN, quote, the only explanation was the cheating stuff. It really bothered some guys. Piss off. The cheating. Deflategate. Give me a break. Give me a break. Who are you to be holier than thou? Deflategate had nothing to do with him winning 6 Super Bowls. And if you say it did that one time, then take one away. 5 Super Bowls. I'm not one that judges Super Bowls by who is the best at whatever. If you don't think Bill Belichick is the greatest coach who's ever coached in the NFL, fine. You don't have to. But if you think he doesn't belong on the NFL not in the NFL, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, or you're going to punish him by not making him a first ballot, you're just a dumbass. Period. Amen. End of story. Brian says Bill getting stubbed is the way it works. But there are a lot of people, especially the voters, obviously. We told you earlier, if there are 50 voters, that means at least 11 of them, at least 11 said that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Fame member. And you're an idiot. I'm so sick of holier than thou and trying to get your thing out there, Spygate, Deflategate, whatever. I don't care. Whatever gate it is, Earl, and everybody else. I don't care. Okay? I don't. It's the same as the ridiculousness, and you can go to baseball, and maybe this is a show in the summer. Barry Bonds not being in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens not being in the Hall of Fame. I don't get. They still had to do it, okay? They cheated. No, get out of here. You think baseball gave a rat's ass that Barry Bonds was, quote unquote, taking steroids, cheating, whatever it was? No. Because you know why? Probably 300 other people were doing it at the same time, but it wasn't a big deal because they weren't Barry Bonds. Same in football. If you don't think other teams are trying to do the same kind of things that, and by the way, Earl, it was Spygate and Deflategate. Just saying. It's not going to, it doesn't keep other people out. It's like it's a popularity contest sometime. I mean, some moron. There are actually 2 idiots in baseball who didn't vote for Ken Griffey to be in the first ballot Hall of Famer, and one dumbass moron who didn't vote for Derek Jeter so he could get 15 seconds of quote unquote fame. I don't remember what the dude's name was. I don't care. Just ridiculous. Anyway, y'all know where I'm going for. Y'all know where I'm going. Jody says if you're punishing him for cheating, Robert Kraft should be punished too. I mean, how are you going to punish him? You need to take his rings away? I don't know, man. It's just we live in such a hypocritical world, and it certainly extends its way to sports. I mean, we're not going to put Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot, but we're going to, and again, these are completely different people, I understand, but we're going to put Shedeur Sanders and his 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions and 18.9 quarterback rating in the Pro Bowl over Trevor Lawrence, who passed for 4,000 yards. Y'all know what I think about Pretty Boy. Okay? I'm no fan of Trevor Lawrence. But Trevor Lawrence threw for 4,000 yards, and he didn't make the Pro Bowl. But Shedeur Sanders, who is a waste of time. He might be the nicest guy on planet Earth. I don't know him. I don't pay enough attention to him, except when he's playing football, and he wasn't very good. And there's a reason why he was drafted in the 5th round. And By no measure on planet Earth does he belong in the Pro Bowl. Sorry, he just doesn't. Just doesn't. I mean, is it the same voters who, I mean, it's a year-to-year thing. I get it. I mean, think about all these. Last year, because Lamar Jackson had won 2 MVPs, they decided to give it to Josh Allen because Lamar had already won. Who cares? Well, you shouldn't have gave it to him when he didn't really deserve it. Last year, he really deserved it, and you didn't give it to him. It's like everything's politics with these votes. Larry Bro says, he bet those folks that didn't vote for Belichick think Tom Brady won all those rings by himself. Of course they do. Of course they think that because it's ridiculous. Voting is a political thing. I've got people I consider friends on both the baseball Hall of Fame voting and football Hall of Fame voting. And they give their reasons for why Barry Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame. They give their reasons for why they can give whatever reason they want for Bill Belichick not being in the Hall of Fame. I haven't heard real reasons yet. I'm sure we will. None of them are valid. Just none of them are valid. Apathy says Drew Brees is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer and never won one MVP award. That's a joke. You mean it's a joke that he never won one MVP award? That is absolutely true. That is definitely true. Especially, I mean, you can go to other years if you want, but 2009, and not just because they won the Super Bowl, because they vote before they go to the Super Bowl, but I mean, you look at the stats and the numbers. It's just, I don't know. It's just insane. I don't know how else you would do it, though. How else would you do it? I mean, if you had you can't do it by computer. You can't let AI do it. The AI has already taken over the world. That's a whole different story. We may use AI on the show because I'm thinking about doing a cartoon coming up. But I don't know. I don't know how else you would do it, but I'm just saying you gotta figure something out. So, all right, time to move on for us. So the poll questions result slightly Belichick being snubbed, not by a whole lot. The answer, which was a bigger farce, Shedeur Sanders of the Pro Bowl, Belichick to being snubbed. It's a slight vote. Belichick wins by a slight margin is the way I should put it. Before we wrap it up, I want to give you the programming note again. By the way, if there are regulars out there who have not yet become members, let's just put it this way. I would love it if you decided to support this channel. You're going to get the same stuff, except you won't be able to be in the Slack channel membership where we all message each other. Also, if you choose the higher end, there are 2 levels. They maybe do levels, but for the higher end level, very soon, I'm going to figure out how we're going to do it, but we're going to give you some merch if you're in the higher level membership. And then later on, we're going to figure out, we're going to give you better merch. If you're in the higher level, we'll find a way to get you like a shirt or something along those lines. That's coming up. So if you would like to support the channel, we would certainly appreciate you supporting in any way you possibly can. And if you can't, and just watching the show is the best you can do, that's great too. So make sure, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to the Dattitude podcast on YouTube. We would very much appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up, a like, a love, whatever it is. And remember that we are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. However, the season 5 finale is coming up. That's right. 5 seasons of Dattitude is coming to an end on Monday, February the 9th. The Monday after the Super Bowl will be the season finale of Dattitude. And the season 6 premiere, well, then we'll take a few days off. We're going to do some administrative work, but we're going to take the week of Mardi Gras. Thank you so much, Escali, and thank you for being a member. Thanks to all the members, both current and future members. UBN with the super chat. Ty Cobb wanted to come, but nobody liked him when he was alive, so we told him to stick it. Yeah, probably so. Thank you, UBN. UBN has been a huge supporter of this channel from the get-go. We appreciate that. So we will be taking off again the week of the Super Bowl, or the week after the Super Bowl. We'll be taking off following that Monday. So we'll go Monday the 9th. Our next show after Monday the 9th will be Friday, February 20th, as we recharge the batteries, enjoy Mardi Gras with the family, and just have a good time. And when we come back, it's not going to be that much different. Season 6, I'm going to redo the intro. And I told y'all this. I'm going to do this, and I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know exactly what day it's going to start, but we're going to have a morning Dat show, and it's going to be taped. And I'll either record it late the night before or early in the morning. It probably have it come out at about 8 a.m. And what it's going to be is my take on the biggest sports news from the day before. Maybe a couple of things. And then we'll also have this date in history and sports birthdays. And, of course, we'll include some Saints birthdays in there for you as well. So that's coming up. We got some changes, some good changes coming in store. Before too long, you'll have to be a member to be able to vote in the poll. Well, I mean, at least the count. That's coming up before too long. Right now, everybody's voting. I'm trying to put it up. So there will be perks for members. Right now, it's just to support the channel, and you get included in our Slack world. Earl, thank you so much for the super sticker. Very much appreciated. Earl is contributed as a regular since we started monetizing for too long. Much appreciated. Charles, you don't have to. Charles, you're completely fine. We appreciate everybody that's out there, okay? We love everybody. Again, whether you're a member, whether you're not a member and you're just a regular, just make sure you subscribe. And do me a favor. Even if you can't afford to become a member and support the channel, you know how else you can support the channel? Tell your friends about the show. The more subscribers we have, the more thumbs up we get, and the more that YouTube likes us, and that also can help support the channel. All right, that is going to wrap it up for us on this Wednesday. Gabe could not be with us this morning because he had another engagement, and he will be back on Friday. I want to thank today's guest, Garland Gillen, and you. But you're not just our guest, you're our family. You know that. I think Zach's going to be here on Friday, although I've not asked him yet. I'm pretty sure he's going to be here. We will see. Again, Gabe will be back. And also, if you just want to listen to the show, you can also find the show on demand. It doesn't go anywhere when we're done. You can find it. But you can also listen to it on your podcast if you're in your car. You want to listen on Apple, Spotify, many more. So you can subscribe that way as well. But that is going to do it for us today. We will see you all on Friday. Stay warm. Find a way to stay warm. And, brr, it's going to get even colder, UBN. So until we see you on Friday, zip up the jacket. Take it easy, my friends.